Hello everybody, it is June 1st, so it's time for another monthly update video in which I'm going to talk about what went on during the month of May and what we've got coming up during June. Two very packed months, a lot of really cool stuff. I always like to begin by talking about three big things, and I'm very excited about all of these three big things because they have to do with things that I consider to be really cool. So the first big thing is that at long last I have actually created a Patreon site for not only this channel but my other YouTube channels, to support my blogging work and all the other things that I essentially do for free, bringing philosophy to a worldwide audience through the internet. So I'll talk more about that in just a few moments. The second big thing, another thing that I'm really excited about, is that the webinar and online seminar for this month, we had a little change of plans, is going to be focused on Hegel's master-slave dialectic. So if you've ever been puzzled about that, or if you think that's really interesting stuff, you want to get in on that. The third thing is that this month, come hell or high water, I am going to get the Aristotle categories on demand, go at your own pace class completely finished up to my standards and released for the general public. So that's a lot of cool stuff already. Now let's talk about the month of May. So a lot of events, many of them face-to-face, many of them online. We kicked off the month by having another of the installations of the Philosophers in the Midst of History lectures. This one was on Boethius, King Theodoric, and the beginning of the Middle Ages. You can see the video link below. We also continued our Worlds of Speculative Fiction. I think this would have been lecture number 17 in the series. This time focused on Orson Scott Card's Ender's Game series, what we call the Enderverse. A lot of great discussion in that. We had online webinar and seminars, this time focused on Epictetus's dichotomy of control. So that was a lot of fun. Did a half-hour Hegel Q&A session supported by the Half-Hour Hegel Project. We had our MKE, that is Milwaukee Stoic Fellowship meeting towards the end of the month. So that's already quite a bit. Now, like I mentioned before, we also started a Patreon page for supporting the work that I do with this channel and in a lot of other venues online. So I want to talk about that for a few moments. Patreon is a crowdfunding site. That means that people make donations. In this case, it's not like Kickstarter. People make monthly commitments, and all of that goes to help defray the costs and to provide me with a living as I produce video content, blog content. Eventually, I'd actually like to start doing podcasting. And a lot of the work that I do requires a good bit of preparation. So this is a way that people can support the production of the philosophical resources that they love. People have been asking me, why don't you do a Patreon page for quite a while? And I finally mulled it over, talked it over with Andy, and we decided that it was a good idea. So that rolled out officially, I think, 2 days ago, and we already have 7 people supporting the work that I do, so that's really awesome. If you really like the stuff that I've been producing, consider becoming a supporter. You get cool perks at certain levels, and so all of that information is below. You just click on the link and it'll take you to the page, and you can check it out. Now, another thing that went on a little bit earlier in the month was an interview with the Painted Porch, run by Scott Perry, the Stoic guitarist. That I'll put a link to below. We talked about creativity and what Stoicism and the dichotomy of control has to say about that. I also did quite a lot of tutorial work and philosophical counseling work. I actually picked up a few more clients, some additional coaching. I did a lot of work, with Stoicism Today, not just editing and writing some content, but also behind the scenes organizational things as we start leading up to the fall when Stoic Week and Stoicon are going to be here. What else? I've been working on the classes as well. I didn't get the categories completely finished as I wanted to. I want to have them really great quality, lots and lots of content before I open them up for the public. And I've been, building curriculum as well for priority thinking. This really interesting stuff that we've got going on in the partnership with them. And I've been engaged in a partnership as well, having to do with some ethics consulting that I'll talk more about down the line once that's taken some fuller shape. Writing. I've been getting some progress done on the book projects, some meaning not as much as I'd like, but that's typical for writing, isn't it? I did some blogging in Erexis de Noetique and in Medium and in the Half Hour Hegel blog. I'm really happy that I did also get some writing done in a blog that I haven't contributed to for really 2 years, and that is The Heavy Metal Philosopher. I finally got some wind in my sails. There's 2 pieces in there recently about identity and the nature of bands. Video work. I shot my 6 half-hour Hegel videos for the month, getting us almost to the end of the very first subsection of the first section of the spirit portion of the work. Shot a lot of Aristotle's Categories videos, finished that core concept series up. I shot some personal videos. One that I remember because I shot it recently was one about why, in fact, I work on YouTube doing philosophy here, bringing all this content to people, what the reasoning behind that is. And of course, we recorded our various events, the Epictetus webinar, so you can see the videos for those below as well. June is going to be an extraordinarily busy month. Just looking at the calendar, I've got a whole bunch of dates on there. I'll talk about that in just a second. But another thing that's very cool about June is my children will be coming for summer vacation and staying with us for a number of weeks. I always love having them here, especially here in downtown Milwaukee, where there are so many cool things to see, do, walk around in, events. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we kick off on Wednesday the 7th from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Time with our monthly half-hour Hegel Q&A. That's another Patreon-supported project, the Half-Hour Hegel Project. My supporters are in effect underwriting me offering a Q&A session on anything Hegel related to the general public. On the 8th, locally here, Thursday, June 8th, 7 to 8 p.m. At the Brookfield Public Library. We're continuing with the philosophy and speculative fiction series. This time we're going to be talking about Ian Banks' culture series. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. I should probably find that out before I get there. On the 15th, which is a Thursday, from 5 to 6 p.m., Central Time again, we will have our new philosophy chat sessions. This is for Patreon supporters at the I think $10 level per month. I'm creating a new venue for them to come and ask me anything that they want about philosophy or talk whatever they want about philosophy with me for an hour as a perk for them. On the 20th, which is a Tuesday, we begin our seminar/webinar series for the month, 12 p.m. Central Time. We're going to focus on Hegel's master-slave dialectic. It'll be a 45-minute free webinar. On the 22nd, which is a Thursday, at the Shorewood Public Library, I believe that is 6 p.m., we will be continuing our Women You Should Read discussion series, this time focusing on the great medieval figure, thinker, scholar, who didn't unfortunately write as much as we'd have liked, Eloise, well known for her romance with Peter Abelard, which turned out very badly for both of them, but particularly for him, if you know what I'm talking about. Then on the 24th, which is a Saturday, at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m., we have our 2-hour intensive online seminars on Hegel's master-slave dialectic. So if you go to the webinar and you want a little bit more, you might want to check those out. On the 29th, which is a Thursday, we have our MKE Stoic Fellowship meeting. It's a monthly meeting here in Milwaukee, although we do have some people come up from Illinois and even Michigan to attend. And we're talking about Epictetus still, going through some of the things in the Enchiridion. And finally, one of the things that's going to be going on where I'm not talking, but I actually get to be a participant for once, is the Marquette Aristotle Conference, which runs from Monday to Wednesday, the 26th to the 28th. Marquette is just, 10 blocks from here. And I'm going to walk over and get to hear some great papers on Aristotle, engage in some discussion, and catch up with a few old friends and colleagues. It's going to be great. This is a very important thing for me to sort of refresh myself in my work. What else? Still, carrying on a lot of tutoring work, philosophical counseling and coaching, doing the editorial stuff for Stoicism Today. If, by the way, you're interested in tutoring services or philosophical counseling or coaching services, you can go to the Reason.io website, or you can just email me directly at greg@reason.io. I am taking on new clients for both of those. Happy to work with anybody who finds philosophy to be interesting or useful in those respects. Writing. I have to get a paper out later today, that I wrote, fortunately, but has to be polished up and sent out on Anselm from the St. Anselm Conference. Still working on the book projects, particularly the one on Stoicism and anger, and doing some other collaborative work with a few other people as well on some writing projects. I'm going to be doing some more blogging, hopefully this month, in Erexis de Noetique, Hafer Hegel, Heavy Metal Philosopher. I'm hoping to get a partially examined life article out. I will also have a piece in Stoicism Today later on this month, and maybe also in Policy of Truth. And also, I'm adding articles in the Medium thing, so if you want to check that out as well, you can see some nice pieces there. Classes. I'm going to be finishing up that Aristotle categories class. I've just got to, tidy up some of the pages and do a few more handouts, and there's a few other things I want to do, show with a few videos I want to shoot for that as well. So that will be out sometime this month and open for the public. It's an on-demand class. We'll also have Cicero's Stoic Paradoxes either this month or next month. And I'm also working on a little mini course on Plato's Ion that I think that people might find interesting and useful as well. Video work. So this is where it gets really interesting. Of course, I'm doing the half-hour Hegel, making our way through this very interesting spirit section. And I've shot some core concept videos on Cicero's Stoic Paradoxes that I will be releasing in this next week. But we also have a poll that if you want to, you can participate in. I'm looking for input from my viewers and subscribers about what figures they would most like to see me working on over the summer with the core concept videos. Because there's a lot of gaps, right? There's a lot of philosophers who could be commented on. And if I'm competent to talk about that philosopher, I am definitely willing to do it. So I want to get input from people about what it is that they'd really like to see. I'll also try to shoot some more of the personal videos. I know people have been asking for them and enjoy them. So I'll probably do some more of those in the coming weeks as well. So that is a pretty packed month. Sometimes it even makes me anxious about how much I'll be able to get done during it. When I get closer to the end of the month and there's deadlines, I get a bit concerned about whether I'm going to meet them or not. The beginning of the month is always a bit nicer that way, and so that's where we are. So you have a great month, and I've got a lot coming up that you might want to take a look at.